no matter where we are, it's going to be a blessing to us. So we just want to, put a passion behind educating you on, how to get this right. So, and I believe we're going to have some people in here that have been doing it well. I asked a few of them to come on. So I don't tend to see all the people here because I have a full screen here. All right, good morning, good morning. Once again, if you stay to the end, we're gonna raffle a prize, 4 tickets. So it's like a family outing, and there's a lot of games. Really, soccer is what's happening right now. So we'll give you different choices of games you can choose from. So today we're gonna talk about the FICO score, how to get it better. And I want to say, I'm really hoping Tracy will come on because it doesn't matter where you are. It just matters the decision you make to do this right, and it's all about information, So it's a lot of slides, so let me not do too much talking. Let's get into the meat of this matter. How do we improve our FICO score to 800? What can we do to get there? Okay, slide, where are you? All right, so I want to start with a quick trivia. Oh, we didn't have the trivia questions in here? I'm sorry. I think we do. I missed the slide. All right. Well, my name is Gary Nix, a broker associate with Keller Williams, and my co-presenter is Fernando Diaz. It's been my partner for quite a bit.
Everybody.
Fernando, yeah, you're right there.
Okay. I'm here.
Okay. So Fernando does loans, and so obviously at the end result is how your FICO score matter into what kind of loan you can get. We'll talk about that. All right. So let's get started. Well, the trivia question, let me go back to that trivia question because I thought we have it on the slide. All right, let me just ask, anybody know who are the credit bureau that report our credit? Anybody know who they are? Audience participation.
Experience is one.
Okay. Experience. Well, where are the other two?
I know there's other two.
TransUnion. Okay, somebody said TransUnion. Thank you.
Sade.
Equifax.
And Equifax. Okay, awesome. So those are the three, and these people are like, I don't want to say they are the government of our life, but they do mathematically score these different credits. And what you have to understand is they don't always report. Not all credit are judged the same. You have your mortgages, you have your car notes. Those are just like a revolt. I mean, what do you call that, Fernando? What kind of payments are those compared to like your credit cards and stuff?
You mean installments versus revolving?
Yeah, installment as opposed to revolving. That's right. So, but we'll talk about that. So let's first uncover what happened with our mind, because our mind is where things are decided in our mind, and until we change our mind, we don't have an understanding. So I have the 3 myth understanding about credit, what we feel. So Fernando, can you just read along this with me? Because I want to move as fast as I can. Okay. So myth number 1.
I don't need credit. And the answer is yes, you can do without credit.
Yeah, that's the truth. You really can do without it. People say they don't, but you do. All right. Myth number 2.
I don't want debt to be, I don't be in debt to the man. Answer, you want good debt. You cannot have quality life without debt. That is true. Right. Constructive debt.
Yeah. So, and I've seen people like, oh, I pay cash for everything. Great. But what if an emergency happens and you got to fly to East Coast, or you have to fly somewhere and you need to rent an hotel? They're not going to take your cash. You do need some credit in order for that to happen quickly. Okay. And 3.
I don't want to be too straight. I want an edgy life. And the answer is you're being straight or edgy does not debar you from having good credit. It shows you have wisdom.
That's right. So again, credit is a part of quality living. And the more we work on our credit to be better, the more quality of life we're gonna have. All right, so let's get into, because I have a lot of slide here. So I want you guys to see, you know, we've always used this example, and I think it's appropriate because this is where most people are. If you have two different people and they make the same amount of money, and what kind of quality of life can one have with good credit and the one without a good credit? You know, and the truth is, when you have good credit, you get everything. You really do get everything. Anything you want. You buy a car. I remember a long time ago, my wife used to work at this FA building, and in the accounting department. And one of our colleagues, that's our best friend, and she always, kind of get pissed off, like, hey, we make the same amount of money, and you drive this better car, you do this, you do that. Why is that? That kind of stuff. So, and I remember the lady came and worked for me at a place where I was working at as another extra job so that she can just do better than my wife. And it's not that, it's the quality of life you create when you have good credit. You are a prince, nothing come, things come much easier for you than other people, right? So let's look at it, an example. Two brothers making the same amount of money, they have the same savings, and they want to buy the same car. And this is the simple part that we can see about when we have good credit or not. Okay, so let's see what happens here. One person is buying a car, putting 50% down, and the payment is $822 because it's got good credit. The other person, wait a minute, I think I got it wrong.
You flipped it.
Yeah, I flipped the script. Okay, so this is the one with the below average credit. So paying $822 on the car, putting the same amount of money down. And the other brother is paying $616. Now, you can look at that and say, that's not much, blah, blah. But can anybody just tell me what's the difference between $616 and $822 in terms of what quality of life you can have with that? And that's $200 more in your pocket every month. What can we do with $200? I mean, we definitely can go to McDonald's, right? But you can actually go to a dinner. You can take a partner out to a nice dinner, or go to the movies. And those are the little quality of life that makes a difference. When somebody's like, obviously these two people make good money, so $822 is not that much more, but they're spending that much money, and the other person is saving $200 every month. It just gives you more things you can do in life, right? And then let's go back to a mortgage, right? In a mortgage situation where you're buying a $650,000 property, again, putting 10% down, one person is paying $5304 monthly payment. That's a 30-year commitment, right? And the other person is paying $5102. I think we missed this one a little bit too. Okay, can you do that? Can you tell us about that? If you have, well, there's no 3.75. I thought we corrected.
No. Yeah. That's old. This is an old slide. But anyway, getting back in terms of your credit, guys, and your mortgages. First of all, with a 580 score, for example, you're already limited to one potential product or two that you're even eligible for because you're below the standard for most programs. So keeping your credit score high obviously opens up a bigger box of choices that you'll have. Secondly, the lower the score, as you guys know, the higher the interest rates that come with it. But also in a lot of cases, if you don't have the 20% down or more, you're going to have mortgage insurance. And in a lot of cases on the conventional side, the mortgage insurance is also tiered by your FICO score. So the higher the score, the less you pay. The lower the score, the more you will pay because it's risk-based. So that's why it's important to try to keep your credit as high as possible, because that way the best financing, whether it's a car or a house or whatever, will be available to you.
And then when you think about for first-time buyers, the early down payment assistance program, if you need at least to have a 660, 680 FICO score.
Yep.
It makes a difference. And now you can get some help, and then you can use your money for something else and still be able to buy the same house. So it's a lot of different ways that this can save you or hold you back, so to speak, right?
Absolutely.
Let's go back. All right. All right. So like we said, your score are rated by these three companies: Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Again, they are the factor, and it's all about numbers game. I don't know how they put the mathematics together. I can't quite tell you that, but I can tell you, you have your length of trade line. That means how long you've been having credit. And then we'll talk about the different things that make the credit goes up and down. Okay. So what is a trade line? That's a record of activity for any type of credit extended to a borrower, and it's reported to the credit bureau. Okay, so when you guys hear the word trade line, what does that mean? The power is in our hands. How we do things is in our hands. Everything is a choice. And I got to tell you, I'm going to take that toward the end because, my family, we made a choice just last month that was not a good one. And I was telling my wife, like, why do you do this? As much as, I talk about this all the time, you made this choice that you don't want to do this because whatever. So we have to make good choices all the time to always keep our credit right. Okay. And then communication is the key. When we, I don't believe, I think one of my clients invited me to their house, like, okay, Gary, help us. What do we need to do here? We're older. Do we need to worry about, if we don't make a payment for try and get the bank to refinance our loan or modify our loan? And I say, why are you looking at that? They're like, well, some people are telling me since we're older, we don't need to worry about that. Just don't pay a mortgage for 3 months and see if the bank can modify. And I had to take time to explain to them, where do you have? And when you analyze everything, you find out things are not as bad as we think they are. But understanding that your credit is valuable, that as you are older, it's really more valuable to you. What if your grandchild has some problem and you need to fly out to go see them? And you're gonna say, because it's valuable. Okay. So answer every phone call from your creditors. I really want everybody to have a different mindset around this. Most people think the creditors are how to get you. That's wrong. They want to help you, but they can only help you if you communicate with them, right? And that's the key. You got to communicate with them. You have a financial situation, you have a death and life situation. If you explain to them, they will work with you. Most people just don't do that, and when they're calling you.
Well, also in that, guys, I think it's very important that everybody looks at their credit at least once a year, just to make sure that there are no errors or things that are, not yours or weren't reported correctly. So remember that, guys, because a lot of people, they only look at their credit when it's time to do something. So it might be years before you actually buy another car or buy a house or whatever it may be. But it's important because there are things, I mean, it's happened to me too, that were reported, incorrectly. And then, you have to fight the fight to get it, turned around and redone again, which, can't happen, like Gary said. But you have to stay on top of it and know if you don't see it, look at it at least once a year, you won't know what's being reported.
Yeah, absolutely. So respond to every threat of collection. So here's the thing. Most creditors will write you a letter. They will call you, and they will probably call you more than one time. And so you will have ample time. Matter of fact, except for mortgages, most of them will not even report a 30-day late. They report it when it's actually 60 days late. They will let you know, before when it's getting close to that 30-day, they'll call you, and after that, they'll also call you. So it's really just responding to them. If you respond to them and tell them, hey, something happened to me this year and this month, I can't do it, but next month I can do it. Boom. Most of them will work with you. Now, some of them, Synchrony Bank, don't mess with Synchrony Bank. They're a tough bank. They would not work with you, but most bank will, so all right, so the facts that we need to know, okay? So let's take a look at what constitutes a good score, right? Fernando, let's just kind of go through what do you consider, obviously, if you're poor, so from very
Well, I think we have to look at it in the context of what you're referring to. So in terms of a mortgage, there is, I would say, a certain parameter that is considered like A, B, A plus type. And then in terms of a car or something else or a credit card, it's different. A couple of years ago, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac made some changes to what we call loan level adjusters, basically. If you were to go back 2 years ago, if you had a 740 score or higher, you were considered doesn't matter. That was the best of the best. You couldn't, you got the best financing across the board. Then a couple years ago, they made some changes where now basically for them, the top tier now starts at 780. Then the next one is 760. Then we get to the 740, which was the top tier before. So on the conventional or jumbo side, things have tightened up a bit. I don't know why they made that change, but they decided to make that change a few years ago. On government loans, though, honestly, really anything over 640, 660, 640 is considered top tier. The interest rates are the same no matter what. The mortgage insurance is the same no matter what. So there, I would say it's obviously a bigger window, a lot more latitude. But on the conventional side, it has definitely tightened up a bit over the last few years.
Okay, so I think in standard way, because you can get financing, you can buy a car if you're a 600 FICO score. So even though that's not considered a great credit, but you're very poor if you're under 500 for sure. 500 to 600, you're right there, and you're between 6 to 640 is called fair credit. And then you start getting to the good side from 660 to 720, and then we start going up over 740, or in this case 780, you become excellent credit. All right. And by the way, I am so proud. I met a couple that were actually going to close on their purchase on Monday, and both husband and wife were 850 FICO score. I've never had that before. Both husband and wife are 850, and so here's the beautiful thing. It's not that they make a whole lot of money, but they do have trade lines, and they have obviously monitored their stuff very well. So it's quite possible. All right, so let's. So the newer credit, you're never. So this is just giving you some hints to why your credit can be up or down, right? You never want to charge your revolving credit, all the way up. Instead, if you need, I tell people, if you have a life need, so let's say you have a credit card, you have $1,000 credit limit, and you need to, life happens, you need to buy furniture, you need to buy, you need to travel, whatever. And what you're gonna expense you're gonna incur is gonna be more than $1,000. before you charge that expense, before you do it, not after you do it, before you do it, if you've been maintaining your credit well, I don't care, if it's 5,000, if it's 8,000, if you've been maintaining it well, you can always go to the lender and say, hey, can you increase my credit limit? And they will generally will. And tell them what you want. Okay, so it's 1,000, I want them to go 4,000. It's 5,000, I want to go 12,000. They will do it. So now if you need, when you're charging your new charge, even though it's more than your previous credit limit, it's less than the new limit you've established. And that keeps you on good condition. Okay. This is a tip that if you exercise it, it will keep you on a good side. Keep your revolving credit under 30% when you can. And this is for the people that's doing 700 and above FICO score. Always, keep it under 30%. And if you can keep it to 10%, the couple that I said they did 850, I mean, they charge, they do have trade lines, but all their trade lines is like, they have little charges in there and it goes to zero. They have little charges in there, it goes to zero. So that's the key there.
Also, one thing to remember, Gary, is because some people they get afraid to charge their credit card too much, like too high, because it's going to go up, obviously. So let's just say you have a $1,000 limit on a credit card and you want to buy something for $950. And people sometimes are afraid to do that. It's okay to do that as long as you pay it off in the next cycle. It's not going to harm you in any way to run the credit card to the top. It's when you hold it there at that level, month after month after month, that's when your credit is affected. But if you charge $1,000 on a $1,000 limit card at Best Buys today, and then you get your statement next week and you pay it off 100%, it's not going to impede you at all.
Yeah, it will actually still keep you high, for sure. You're right. The major one that kills people is this right here. It's late payment.
Yep.
It literally can dump you down 100 points sometimes, depending on what level of trade line you have. The one late payment. Now I remember I had one lady that did a short sale. This was maybe 12, 14 years ago, and obviously in the short sale, she didn't have a mortgage payment for like 6 months or something. And as soon as we closed the short sale and I checked the credit and it was 721, I'm like, oh my God, you are, so it may not affect if you have a lot of trade line, because that lady have 2 pages of trade lines, right? And all the other ones were super good, except for the mortgage. And she has there was a situation around that. I don't need to go into that. But yeah, this is the one that affects you, especially if you only have 2 credit and you are late on one of them. Oh my God, it can really dump you. So please, at all cases, if you can at least make the minimum payment, make that minimum payment, and then the next month that you can recover and do more, you want to do more. And instead of paying one and you have, let's say, some people have 5 credits, well, they pay all these other ones and they left one, even though it may be the smallest credit card you have and you left that one go and you're late, it's going to hit you really bad. So never be late on any credit. Okay. So the key thing is sometimes life happens. You have a need for something, a death in the family, or wherever that may be. If you call the lenders or your financial institution and tell them, hey, something's happened to me this month, I can't make the payment. Can you please not report me to the credit, report me late? They will give you that courtesy. If most of them will. I mean, I'm good. I'm really sure about 80% of them will. Again, Synchrony Bank is not the bank to mess with on that, but everybody else usually will work with you. Yeah. So, establishing credit. If you have no credit, because we want to educate everybody, and we are all just a few steps from getting to 700 and even 800 on our FICO score. So if you have no credit, you want to get a secure credit card, right? Charge it, and keep your balance under 10% if you can. Or you want to be an authorized user on someone else's credit, so maybe your parents, your your brother, your spouse, whatever, if they've got good credit, have them add you to their name. But when they add you, they must use your social security number, because a lot of these banks are smart. Like, oh, okay, we'll just give you an extra card to use. No, that's not gonna help your credit. You need to put your social security number down so that then you'll have the benefit of that person's trade line on your credit, okay? So this is for people that need to establish credit. And by the way, you can establish credit. I've got people go from 0 to 680. I actually have one young lady went from 0 to 768 in 30 days. It was cool. And basically, I told her to do those two things, and she did it, and boom, she was 760, because her mom was pretty good credit too. Getting from bad to good. Okay, this is where a lot of people are swimming in, and they're wondering, okay, how can I get out of it? I want to assure you, is Tracy on the line? Is Tracy on? Okay.
No, Gary.
Okay, all right.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, awesome.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Is your picture there? I can see it. Come on. I'm gonna stop for a second, because I want to be you to be a witness on this area. Tracy, can you share, when I first met you, what was your credit back then?
620.
Were you 620?
I was 627.
Okay, all right. And where are you now?
802.
802. I mean, I am so proud of you, because this is one lady that's like, okay, what do I need to do at 620? I need to have a better credit so I can take advantage of some programs and whatnot. And I said, do this, do that, do this, and boom, she hit it, and boom, she went out. So when she sent me a text the other day, like, Gary, look at this. I'm like, whoa, I am so really proud of you. Okay. All right. So can you just tell us, I mean, what did you do to come that far?
Like you said, just basically making sure all my payments are made on time. Making sure that I don't use over 10% of my credit cards, and making sure I try to pay at least, if not all of the balance on the credit cards, at least pay half of it.
Awesome. So this is really example. I'm gonna thank you so much for sharing, by the way. I appreciate it. Okay. All right. Let's see. So it doesn't matter where you are. Just if you have, the reason why your credits are bad are usually you have some collections, right? And people get stuck in. I remember I met this one young man. He has no revolving credit. All he had was like 4 collections, and they were just 4 of them. So I'm like, all we need to do is settle some of these collections. A lot of this bank, especially if it's a charge-off collection, you can settle for 40 to 30% of that balance, and it's gone. And if you're lucky, they can actually take the trade line completely off of you. But even if not, they settle it, your credit's back to it's back to normal. And the one thing you want to do is to decide to never be late on any payments going forward. If you stay like that for 12 months, you start picking up really good credit. Okay. And then if you keep your balances under 30%, then you're like in the 700 easily. All right, okay. And again, always communicate your calls with your lender. Don't be afraid that by not answering your call, you're gonna go away. Your credit is gonna go away now. Okay. So getting from good to bad. So this is somebody in the 640 to you're in the 640 to 660. And that means you're already paying, you're not late on your credit, but you have a full account. Most of your accounts are at the heights, at the full. You want to get your balances down, and you want to keep your credit going for a long time. So that's why I tell people, do not ever cut off your credit. Don't say, oh, I don't want to use the message card. I don't want to shop over there no more. No, keep the credit going. If anything, those credits that you haven't used in a while, go back and use them every now and then. Charge something on them and then pay it back, down again. It will keep that trade line to keep scoring for you. And that's how you can have, you can see some people, you can go through trade lines of 10 pages of trade lines that they've had, and they've kept everything. And that's how your score, get better and better, okay? Right. Okay. So what are the habits? Where we are on time? Are we good? Are we good on time? Okay. So you just want to change your bad habits for new ones. Yeah, you deserve a great life, and you just gotta choose a wise path. Change your thinking, change your world. Okay, so let me, I think I have the programming thing here. Yes, okay. So I always tell people, it doesn't matter where you've been. Most of us, we pick up a lifestyle based on what we know, what people around us do, what our parents taught us, and uncles and aunties, and sometimes the influence of our friends, right? And if you have friends that are like, oh no, I'm not gonna owe money to the man. I got my cash all the time. Boom, you start thinking like that too, right? You have a family member that's like, oh, I'm gonna take advantage of the credit card people. I'm gonna charge it all the way up, and gonna let it go. You start thinking like that. So you have to watch what's coming into our mind, and either we realize it or not, this is happening to all of us. People around us influence us in such a big way. So now that we understand the little practical things, we have to kind of change our mindset around it. That's the programming. And once we change, once we agree to change that, then we have new thoughts, and we have new feelings that, hey, I am worthy. I deserve to be the best. I deserve to live like a prince or a princess. And then, our action started changing, and we started going this route, paying our bills on time, making our balances as low as possible. Be ready to, because sometimes even the best person, a collection can come to you, especially when it comes to medical collections, right? You go visit a doctor office, and or you go to ER, they don't even ask you for the money while you're there. They just have you sign papers. And the next thing you know, you got a bill like, oh, what is this? And you ignore it because you're like, oh, my insurance is supposed to cover that. And then they will threaten you a collection, and you just gotta call them and settle it before it actually manifests itself, right? So if we do this new programming, we can reset what happened to us going forward. Anybody have any comments around that? Okay. So we want you to live the best life possible. And we just know having a great credit, creates that. It really does. I know before the mortgage world, collapsed, the bank themselves, they used to just go on credit alone. That if you have a great credit, anything you want, they give it to you, basically. So even one of the reasons for the collapse was that people will put anything on paper and say, I make $20,000, I make $40,000 a month. And they just look at your credit like, oh, you have a 750 FICO score. You're good, for what you say. So, which, they don't do that anymore, of course. They check everything. They check your blood supply now. But that was what it was. It's the value of believing in when people, maintain a good credit. Okay. All right. So how to dispute your credit? I want to kind of educate people around this. When you have an issue that comes up, how do you dispute it? Well, let's go through it. Recommendation, you can hire a professional. The reason why a professional is good is they have timeline that they can keep. You and I, we have a life that we're living and we are busy with that. But people that this is their job, they have a timeline to keep. And what that means, and you see the timeline when I'm talking about, people think, oh, I can do it myself. But you forget the timeline. It's going to take you another year before you get that credit, bad credit taken off your account. So, and what they do is write letters in 30 days turnaround. Especially for old collections, you can dispute them. You write a letter asking, hey, please, this is not my credit. And they will usually respond. Most banks will respond back to you within 30 days and say, yes, this was your credit. You were late when you didn't make this payment. So it's a valid report. And you keep writing that letter every 30 days. And after a while, sometimes they get tired of you. They don't respond. And then you can ask for the bureau to take it off. But that's why you need, most of the time, a professional to do this for you, because they can keep the timeline and they can actually write the bureau to take it off for you. Okay. The other part is zero collections. This is my favorite one because this can turn things around that quickly. I think I had a couple I was working with just a few months ago. And the husband is a little slow to doing what I tell him to do. But the wife, I just looked at the credit like, oh, listen, you have 3 collections. That's not that bad. Let's call them up and settle right now. And we settled, boom, boom, boom. And she went from 5 something to, almost 680. And the partner is still kind of fighting to get it done. It's just how quickly you want to take action on this stuff. Now, this is the last resort, and I don't recommend this unless you have a big credit, like a bankruptcy that's closed, a foreclosure, a short sale or whatnot. But all of this have been done. They've been closed. If it's still active, you can do the lawsuit. And there are some creditors that will take it to court, and they take it to a federal court, but they will take like 50 files with them. And most of these creditors are not going to send their representative to come and challenge it. And it will be taken off your record, and it goes forever because this is a court order for it to be taken off. It never comes back. This usually costs more to do, and I don't recommend it unless it's a bigger, like I said, judgment, foreclosure, bankruptcy, and other stuff that you want to take off. But even those can be taken off. I want you guys to see that. Okay. So climbing the ladder of good to great, right? When you're poor, how do you go up? Because our goal here is to get everybody to 800 score. Let me see. Is Miss Jean here? Here. Okay. Okay, so climbing the good ladder, how do you go up? Okay, it's real simple steps you take. If you generally pay on time and no late, you will hover between 640 and 680 FICO score. So even if your credit card is full, so long as you don't go past the limit and you pay on time, you're gonna easily be 640 to 680. Okay. If you want to go higher than that, well, then you need to maintain a lower balance. And like Fernando was saying, that you can charge a bunch, but just pay it off before the end of the month, or pay it down before the end of the month. If you're hovering around that 10% to 30% balance, you would generally be between 700. You're always going to be in the mid 7 to high 7s, depending on how low a percentage your credit is. Okay. And the people that do the 800 and above, like Tracy was alluding to earlier on, is just people that have it. They do charge, but they pay before the end of the month. You know, back in the day, Amex was strictly like that. You got to pay like your ATM. You charge, you got to pay. You got, now I have Amex. I have, you know, thousands of balance on. But that's how you get to the 800 and above. And honestly, teaching this, I've been humbled by it because I took my score to 826, and it felt really, really good, right? And then my wife just, you know, crumbled. Okay. All right. Any questions? That's the end of the. Any questions around this, please? Now, don't forget, as you guys ask questions, is when we're gonna put you into the Wheel of Fortune. So let's have the questions come through. Okay. Okay. Why is it quiet today?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Now let's say when you settle a debt, like, and let's say it goes to a collection agency, right? And you settle it. Is there something you need to ask them to do, like when you pay it, or they just, you know, as far as your credit is concerned, or the credit reporting agencies, do they need to send them something or do something? So,
well, so here's the thing. Fernando, you want to say anything on that before?
Yeah, I mean, I would say two things. I would obviously verbally make sure that they report it as a settled and closed account. But the second thing that I highly recommend you guys do, if there's any kind of blemish that you're working to fix, is get it in writing from them. Also, for your records, get a letter stating that the account is settled and closed. And the reason why is because later on, if you're, especially if you're going for a home loan and you have the proof and that information, even if it's not properly being reported, we could do what's called the rescore with the information that you have on the account, and basically the credit bureaus will redo your scores with the information you provide, which is showing a closed, you know, and paid off account.
Yeah, I will even go beyond that. Yes, that's a great question. Whenever you settle, always ask for, can it be deleted before you settle? So let's say you have a $4,000 collection, right? And you negotiate with them, they agree to $1,000. So I say, well, before I make the payment, I want to confirm, can you guys delete it from my trade line? And they will let you know. You know, some, it's not all of them that does that, but some will say, yeah, we'll delete it completely. And they can give you a letter to that effect. Some will say,
Gary,
we won't delete it, but we will report it as settled. And of course, still ask for a letter for that effect. But generally, when they say they're going to do it, I think 95% of the time they do what they say they're going to do. Some of them may just take, they'll tell you, oh, it's going to take 30 days to show, or 60 days to show on your account.
Just to make sure I get the terminology, I'm going to tell them to delete it from my credit rating, or
yeah, trade line. Yeah, trade line.
Trade line.
Yeah.
Is that TRADE line, LINE?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I had never heard that term before. So, okay, thank you so much.
All right. Anybody else? Anybody? All right. Well, let's make comment. This is unusual. Usually when I'm doing FICO Score, we go way over the time. So everybody
it's good. Today. Keeping us on schedule.
Okay. All right. So I mean, this is just basically it. You know, I hope you guys see the value of you know, taking your credit up, you know, living like a prince or princess. It's just it's really valuable. I took a vacation recently. Actually, more than that, I have a daughter that lives in London, and with my 3 grandkids, they're like, well, Dad, we want to go on vacation, you know, can you help us out? And I'm like, where do you guys want to go? They said, well, we want to go to Morocco. And they want a 2-bedroom place in Morocco. So I look at Hilton, and I just booked them like 5 days, it didn't cost me a dime of using my points on my credit card to book it for them. And that's just the value of having, credit. And of course, using it, when you get really good, you start using credit that gives back to you, right? I like flying Southwest a lot. So I have a Chase Southwest card, and my goal is always to get points on that. When I charge that card, I try to use it like an ATM. Just charge it, pay, charge it, pay, charge it, pay. So you accumulate so many points, 50,000 travel points. All of a sudden, it's the same thing as somebody that has an ATM card that doesn't have a credit card. But now they can use that to book a flight, go to Austin. I went to Austin last year with 2 team members, and it didn't cost me a dime, because of the points I already have on it. So those are the value of having good credit, and just taking advantage of of different things that it won't cost you, but somebody else that's gonna fly, go to Morocco. I didn't pay for the flight, by the way. I just get that right. I just pay for the hotel. That can be a hell of a expense. It could be, I don't know, a 2-bedroom. That could be $350 a day, for 5 days. But because you have the points, you're able to use that. So yeah, this really good value in having this credit. And all right, who's got a question there? Let's see what this question say.
No, and Gary.
Oh, okay. So Terry said she has a question but don't know how to get in. Well, ask the question then. What do you mean she doesn't know how to get in? That's interesting. All right. Anybody else have any question?
Me again.
All right. Thank you.
Go for it.
You. Yeah.
Okay. When I was first getting credit, and I don't know if things still work the same, and that's why I'm asking this. But the first thing I bought was like a TV that I could have paid for. And so I just got it from an electronic store and paid monthly like $20. And that's how I started to get my credit. Is that still a good thing to do, or what's good ways for people to start to establish credit, especially when you're young?
That's a great question. Obviously it really doesn't matter what credit you get. What it matters is that you're able to make the payment, and I won't make it in $20 payment. Especially if you have the money to pay in two lump sum. Don't pay to zero immediately, because you don't get a score that way. Most of the time when they give you credit,
yeah, that's fine.
So most of the time when they give you credit, there's a limit to that credit, right? It's $500, it's $1,000, $5,000, whatever that means. Like Fernando was saying, is you can charge as much, but no,
Because I'm on the ear.
the month is out, you pay it down considerably. And the quicker you can pay it down, the stronger your credit score is gonna go up. If you get a $5,000 credit, you charge $3,000, and before the end of the month, your balance is less than $500. That's gonna score you more, because again, they're looking at how valuable you are, how how well you take care of your business. So if they think you can take good care of $500, they give you $5,000. If they think you can take good care of $5,000, I remember I had one credit card. I think my Amex card, when I first got it, I had a $5,000 limit on it, and I charged a considerable amount. I don't recall what it was, but it was considerable amount, maybe like $3,500. And I paid it. I paid it off 2 months later, and the next thing I know, they sent me an offer to increase it to $10,000. Oh, okay. And that $10,000, that one stayed on for a long time, like that. And one time because I'm charging it, right? One time I paid it back to zero again. I got another offer and it went up to 23,000. So they want to see that you are responsible at some level, and then they will take you up, and they will keep taking you up like that. All right. All right.
Gary,
Yes.
Miss Terry.
All right. How are you?
Okay, I finally figured it out. I'm not good at this.
Okay.
But this is my question.
Mhm.
So I have my kids, in order to establish their credit, when they were like 16 or so. So I got them my credit cards, a couple of my credit cards. So now they're older and they have excellent credit too. So how do I, or should I, stop their credit cards now from mine?
Okay. Do they still have the credit that you co-sign them with? Do they still have those cards with them?
Well, I keep the cards. I used to let them have them, but now since they have their own cards, they don't use them anymore.
Okay.
But I still get them.
Okay. I mean,
but they have well, so yeah, so I could just stop their cards and it won't affect them.
It won't affect them. Yeah, they've already established their credit. You've helped them do what you needed to do, and now that they're good. I have the same thing with my son. I give him my credit. Actually, I took it back from him because he wanted to use it a little too much. I'm like, okay, I'm pulling that baby from you.
All right, Gary, I got to run guys downstairs
Okay.
to get
All right.
the battery
That's
guy.
cool.
So
Thank you so much. Okay.
appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right.
Bye
So
now.
yeah, you can take it back from them once they're established. It's the goal is to get them established, and once they're fully established on their own, yeah, you can take it back. Any last question before we go ahead to the will?
Yeah, I have a question.
Mr. Davis, let's go.
My son, he had maybe about $40,000 in credit I want to say maybe about 6 or 7 years ago. So I reached out to this company to get it consolidated, and we're paying like $440, $450 a month. Is that a good thing to do? Because we've been doing it, I think about 5 years now, and I think maybe like every say 4 or 6 months they would say, well, we paid off this card for you. These people, Synchrony Bank, they don't want to work with us,
So
they're kind of slow. So was that a good thing to do, or you think we should stop that? Because we've been doing it for some years now, and I don't even remember if I signed a contract with them or what. But that was my question.
Okay, that's a really good question. I was dealing with that I think a couple of days ago. So here's what you want to understand when it comes to this credit settling company. I don't necessarily recommend them, but everybody has their own way, right? They're gonna take you from worse to good, to bad and to good, because in order for them to settle your credit, they're gonna first make you default on all the credit, which is exactly what we're pushing that you don't do. Don't default on your credit, right? So they're gonna make you default on all this credit. So your credit is gonna go to shambles, basically. And then that's when they have leverage to start selling with them. And they start selling after they create a trust account for you. So the money you're paying go to that trust account. They charge a fee, and then after the trust account has accumulated some money, they begin the settlement. So if you have 5 credits that needs to be settled, and they settle this one, and the trust gotta grow more before they can settle the next one, before they can settle the next one. It just takes you on a long hurdle of bad credit before you can get to good. But you will get there. And if you've been doing this thing for years now, you should be at the very end of it. They do settle what they're gonna settle, but honestly, I find out sometimes you can settle this thing straight up. I've helped a lot of my clients settle their account where we just call in. Okay, I have one guy came here, all he had was 4 bad credits, so to speak, collections. And I said, do you have $2,000 on you? He had about $8,000 in debt. And we call in and we negotiate one, we pay them, they send us a deletion letter. We call the other one, we pay them, you know, they send us a settlement letter. So we went on like that. And before you know it, I remember the young man was here, it was like maybe before the 15th of the month. And by the 5th of the next month, he went from, you know, they weren't reporting a straight line to almost a 640. And then I told him, okay, let's go get a secure card now, you know, $500 secure card, charge that, you know, go buy gas and bring it down to $10. The next month, it was like 690 something. It was that quick. So it's just being aware of it. So again, in your situation, I would check where your credit status is now. And if it looked like you're about to be at the end of it, I mean, it can't take that long for them to get this account settled. Now, did you keep any credit while you were doing this, or all of them were into that settlement program?
No, they were all into that program. We didn't keep any, no, but I do have him kind of like writing on 2 of my accounts now, you know, just to kind of establish him some credit. Okay. So, but yeah, no, we didn't keep any. No.
Yeah, so you usually want to keep a good one in the process, because now sometimes when you keep that good one and they start seeing your credit go to shambles, they will start reducing your credit limit with them. I had a lady that had, you know, she was going through this program and she kept one good one, which she had $2,000 credit. As soon as she paid that one down to 1,000, they lowered the credit limit to 1,000. As soon as she paid down that to 500, they lowered to 500. I'm like, damn. But if some people are not that, you know, crazy, they will allow you to keep maintaining that good one, and you want to keep maintaining that good one, because the longer your trade line is, the better. This is going to be to settle your account to 0. You're just going back to 0. So you do need some new credit and new revolving account for you to score better, you know, for your son to score better. Thank you for the question. Okay.
Mr. Nick, I have a quick question on that, because as you know, I spoke with you during this week. Okay. While you're in this settlement, and like you said, if you have certain account that you kept away from the ones that they're settling with you, within this period of settlement, there's no possibility of owning a home, or if the credit gets better within a year or 2, what is the possibility of buying?
Okay. Well, buying is always about your credit score and your debt to income ratio. So if your debt to income ratio is good and your credit score is, you know, at least 640, and again, if you don't need assistance, you have your own money and you have a 600 FICO score, you know, FHA is possible with that. They won't hit you for the collections, especially if it's charged off. They won't hit you for that unless if it's an FHA loan. FHA is a government loan, and they are a little more stricter on that. If you have charge off, they may ask you. It depends on the underwriter. Some will ask you that you have to settle it first, clear it, pay it all out first before you can make a move. But it's always about your whatever your current FICO score is. If it's able to maintain 640 and above, and then your debt to income ratio, how much your income is and how much the debt that you currently have, how much is against this income. All right, last question, please.
Gary, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
All right. One is, how can I delete the PMI, or is it possible to delete the PMI from the home?
Okay.
because I have more than 20% invested without refinancing. Because if I refinance, the payment is going to go up
Oh,
because
that's a good question. All you need to do, if your current loan is conventional, if it's an FHA loan, you cannot delete it. That stays with FHA until you refinance to conventional. But if it's a conventional loan, all you need to do is write a letter to the mortgage company and ask them to take it off, and they'll take it off.
Okay. And then the next question is, can you explain the pros and cons of having a trust?